Hey everyone, and welcome back to ArxangelRC. This time I'm not going to waste time with useless overture because I know most of you are probably anxious to know of my results with the Aomway Nexus Full HD system. So here it goes. Those of you that have seen my first test of the system with the adapted 433 MHz Arling antennas would remember that the system could not go past 300 meters, and maybe even that is too generous of an estimation. So following that test, I actually took the antennas to a friend of mine that has the appropriate equipment and made those antennas into dipoles and tuned them very well to the correct frequency that I had chosen, which was 572 MHz. It is interesting to note that the closest channel of the digital TV broadcast in Bulgaria is at 570 MHz, so kinda close for comfort there, but armed with properly tuned antennas and with the hope that going out of town would somehow help improve range, I started the next Aomway Nexus flight test. Once the plane was in the air, I headed away from me and off into the distance, and the distance was an unimpressive 400 meters or so. This is important now. In the same environment, the FSK L9R receiver goes 18 kilometers without even breaking a sweat at 100 milliwatts. The Aomway Nexus at 500 milliwatts, 400 meters in 1080p. True, I did not test the system in 720p, but following these results, I don't think I can expect miracles anymore. Even if the distance doubles, it is hardly suitable for a plane. But being the optimist I am, I decided to make sure I have eliminated all interference sources and decided that the next test will be on the XUAV Clouds, which only operates on 2.4 GHz and 5.8 GHz, and I even disconnected the 915 MHz telemetry unit, so the Nexus was the lowest frequency around, and theoretically there shouldn't be anything on board the plane that could hinder its operation. However, it turns out that the Nexus itself is the big interference generator, because even while still on the ground, I noticed the OSD overlay on my 5.8 GHz video started flickering after the Nexus was powered on. Things got even more interesting after takeoff. At some point the OSD overlay was all over the screen, and a while later it disappeared altogether, and I never got it back until I landed the plane and restarted it. As for the Nexus's range on the clouds, still the pathetic 400 meters. Although I have to say that the picture quality on the ground is really impressive until the signal breaks down and it freezes. Like I said, highly unusable for use on a plane unless you really like to fly within 400 meters around you, but I guess it could work for a large copter with an HD camera on it, as those really don't fly further than 400 meters too often. Another use for the system could be on the ground for TV production purposes. I gave the Nexus to a friend of mine to test it for such use, and he said it gets the job done and he could use it, so we'll see what will happen to this unit. I have to say though, I'm a bit disappointed. I keep thinking how awesome it would be to get up into those clouds with an HD downlink and to actually be able to see those clouds and all of the details up there and actually see where I'm going, because a good resolution would allow me to judge distances and other things, and would make the trip even better. But I guess I'll have to put those plans on hold again. 500 milliwatts on 572 MHz should have yielded some pretty impressive range, but it actually feels as if they're like GPS units in the transmitter and the receiver, and they communicate to each other, and the moment they get 400 meters away, the RX just stop receiving the signal, just because. The signal just cuts off and that's it. Nothing I could do can get it back. A few times I even had a friend hold the receiver up high by hand and turn the antenna every which way, but to no avail. I could make a directional antenna for the receiver, but I have to ask myself, is it really worth it to keep wasting time with this system it will never give the range necessary to make good use of it on a plane, so it might be better to just give it to somebody that could use it on a copter or on the ground and wait for the version 2. Furthermore, the interference that it puts out into neighboring electronics is really worrying when you're actually flying with the system, so I guess that makes the best use for it on the ground. I also do have to question the merits of Aomway's decision to make this operate on the 500 MHz band, which is illegal for free use in most of the world, and I can only hope that the next model will be better made and will not be on that frequency, because part of the problem why this doesn't work may be interference from the digital TV broadcasting signals, which is a real pity. I can bet that this system is just two regular out-of-the-box HD modules that are not really optimized in hardware and firmware for actual FPV use. There is pretty much no lost packet and weak signal handling other than cutting the signal completely off. This would be perfect on the ground for some specific uses, but obviously lacks the research and development that the DJI Lightbridge and Connex HD systems have. The system is cheaper though than anything else out there, but it has its limitations. I guess you get what you pay for. When I talked to Aomway about it, they said they chose that frequency because a lot of their clients asked for that, and I'm really curious to know who these clients are and what could possibly be the reason for that, and also how many there are. In my mind, the best we can do right now is start writing to Aomway, asking them to fix the interference, optimize the signal, shield the unit, and make them operate on 1.3, 2.4 or 5.8 GHz band, or even a crazier idea, the 3.3 GHz band, which actually will not interfere with 2.4 GHz control and 5.8 GHz video, and would make it possible to use all of that at the same time on one model. You will have HD up to a point, and when that breaks down you can still rely on the analog video link to keep going. So keeping in mind that this is their first go at it and that probably they haven't spent years developing it, I would say it's a nice try, but they will need to try again. Releasing this as it is right now and hoping their clients will test it for them is not amongst the best practices, and I actually do like Aomway analog video systems, as they have always been well designed and made and have produced true and clean output no matter the power. But since we're talking about the Nexus here, you have seen my tests and it is now up to you to decide if this system will work for you or not. Personally, I would not put it on anything that flies anymore, but I guess it could work miracles as a cheap alternative to the expensive systems people in television use on the ground. So now we come to the end of this video. If you've liked it and found it useful, please give it a thumbs up and share it. Also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel. And as always, if you want to buy any of the items shown in this video, please consider doing so via the links in the description below, as this will go a long way towards supporting this channel and what I do, and will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.